Have you ever really thought about the medicines you take? What goes on behind the scenes to make sure they're safe and effective, not just once, but every single time? Well, today we're diving into a super important system right at the heart of the pharma industry. It's called change control. Think of it as this invisible guardian, making sure that every tiny little tweak or update doesn't, accidentally put patients at risk.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about why not all changes are created equal. Then, we'll get into what change control actually is. After that, we'll explore why it's so desperately needed, what a really good system looks like, and then wrap it all up with the main goal of all this, keeping patients safe. All right, let's jump in.
In just about any business, change is happening all the time. It has to. Companies get new equipment, they switch suppliers, they fine-tune how they do things. It's just part of getting better. But in the world of pharmaceuticals, the stakes are, well, they're on a whole other level.
So that brings up a really basic question to get us started. We know change is a constant, right? But does that mean all changes are the same? Does swapping out one little thing carry the same weight as swapping out something else? As you can probably guess, the answer is a big, fat no. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Think about it. If your company decides to get office chairs from a new supplier, what's the worst that can happen? Maybe the chairs are a little uncomfortable. It's a low-stakes change. But what if a pharma company changes the supplier for a key raw material in a drug? Whoa. The consequences there could be a total disaster. It could change the drug's purity, its strength, or even how your body uses it. That huge difference in risk is exactly why the industry created a formal system to handle any and every change. So that brings us to our next big question. What exactly is this system we call change control? Okay, at its core, a change control system is a major part of a company's whole quality setup. It's a formal, written-down process with one main job: to make absolutely sure that any change someone wants to make is looked at very, very carefully. You have to ensure it doesn't mess with three things: the quality of the product, the safety of the patient, and the company's ability to follow all the strict rules.
And we're not just talking about the big things here. This system covers changes across the entire operation. Everything. Switching a raw material supplier, putting in a new piece of equipment, changing how a product is tested, tweaking the official step-by-step procedures, even making changes to the building's air or water systems. It's all covered.
So, now we know what it is and where it's used. But let's really get into the why. Why is this obsessive, sometimes slow, level of control so incredibly important? What happens if you just don't do it? This quote really just gets right to the point, doesn't it? If you make changes on the fly without any formal review or sign-off, you're opening the door to some seriously bad risks. This isn't about red tape. It's about preventing a catastrophe. And in fact, when government regulators come in to audit these companies, a massive number of the problems they find, these audit observations, all come from one simple thing: people making informal, undocumented changes. Somebody tried to fix a problem or make something better without going through the system, and boom, it creates a huge compliance headache.
And this just shows you the kind of deep thinking that the system forces. Before anyone can change anything, a whole team has to sit down and formally answer these questions. Why are we even doing this? What's the potential impact on the final product? Do we need to run a bunch of tests to prove it still works correctly? Do we have to tell the FDA about this? And do our people need new training to handle this change?
Answering all those questions every single time requires a system that runs like a well-oiled machine. So what does a really solid, effective change control system actually look like? Let's take a peek.
Right. A strong system is definitely not one person just signing a piece of paper. It involves a whole team from different departments: quality, manufacturing, legal, all looking at the proposed change. It always includes a formal risk assessment to try and predict what could go wrong. It has super clear approval steps, so there's no confusion. It demands that every single thing is documented. And maybe most importantly, after the change is made, the system makes you go back and verify that it actually worked the way you wanted it to, with no nasty surprises.
So all of this, the paperwork, the meetings, the risk assessments, the approvals, it can seem like a ton of work, but it all serves one single non-negotiable purpose. And that brings us to our final and most important point. This is the key takeaway right here. Change control was never invented to slow people down or just to create bureaucracy. Its one and only job is to protect the product from any unintended harm, and by doing that, to protect the patient who depends on that product. This is the mindset. You have to get this. In an office, sure, you can make just a small change. But when you are making medicine, that phrase doesn't exist. There is no such thing. Every single modification, no matter how tiny it seems, has to be formally reviewed. Why? Because sometimes the smallest change can have the biggest and most dangerous consequences. So the next time you see a simple little pill or a tablet, just take a second to think about the massive, invisible system of safety and care that's standing behind it. It's a pretty powerful reminder of the incredible complexity and the intense control that's required to make sure the medicine we all trust is actually worthy of that trust.